All right, welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Specks and Bryce.
You almost messed up that
Uh,
one.
I was trying to point and I
Yeah, I got
couldn't
that.
decide where to point. I was just making sure as I was pointing in the right direction. But welcome to Coffee with Specks and Bryce. We're here again, hanging out. Hopefully, not doing as much commiserating this time. I guess we will talk a little bit about the Lakers losing. The Angels didn't do too bad this last week, so there's nothing other than what we could reiterate about Phil Nevin.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I guess the thing I'd like to start with is Specs is on Twitch. Like I would say, almost officially back on Twitch. Like
It's been
in a
a week.
legit way.
It's been a
I
week.
know. But last week when we were talking about this, that wasn't the case yet. You had slowly been, kind of doing some stuff here and there. But this week you were like, hey, I guess when you say it's been a week, you're saying it's only been a week, you could easily slow it back down.
Basically.
I misunderstood you at first, obviously.
I mean, I guess, wait, how many? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 streams in the last, I basically went back to like full-time-ish streaming.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say you're
all for like
you're
the
putting
shortest.
me to shame.
Yeah, all for about 4 hours. The shortest being when I was like, I was dumb busy. I only had like that 2 hours.
Yeah. No, yeah, so you're putting me way to shame because like my streams are 3 streams a week, about 3 hours each. Yours are 5 times a week, 4 hours each. So
there's an outside influence that I was just trying to get into a different
9 versus 20 hours.
I was trying to get into a groove or see if I could do something, but
I was gonna say your streams have definitely seemed,
but it didn't work
your
out.
streams have definitely seemed more like fluid and natural again. Like you're not forcing it as much as you were when you first were uncomfortable coming back.
I think playing a game I want to play helps a lot.
Then just play games you want to play. Don't play Mario Maker.
I don't.
Unless you want to play Mario Maker.
See, the whole thing is, it's like I like Mario Maker. My problem with Mario Maker is it's one of those things that's like I need to just get the controller and play it on my own to sort of bolster myself.
I mean, the only reason I'm able to play it, I wouldn't say a high level because I'm definitely not great at Mario Maker, but like the only reason I'm able to play it at any significantly
capacity,
decent level, significant capacity is I just have played it since like late 2019. I mean, obviously on and off, but like I played a lot of Super Mario World as a kid, so those ideas of platforming are not foreign to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I gave it some due diligence, I could probably do it. I just don't.
Yeah, good shit.
I could probably get better at it. But I also I suck at platformers. I suck at platformers.
Whereas platforming, like actual platforming in Mario Maker is like my one time I'm like confident in what I'm doing. It's when they start doing like Kaizo and stuff like that that I'm like,
no,
I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Kaizo's just something I need to do more often on my own. And I could probably eventually get it. Like, there was one level where there was like this big, called a shell drop jump, or a spring drop jump. And basically it's this like kind of tricky maneuver you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me forever, but I eventually got to a point where I could do it every 10 tries or so. I mean, like, and that sounds bad, but like before it was like 100 tries before I could even get it once. So,
there we go with that.
I was just saying, like, so, like, if I practiced, I could probably get better at all those kinds of things.
No, that's probably where I'm at. Like, if I gave myself like more time to like hone the craft a little bit, I probably could.
Yeah. You repurposed some really old streams for your YouTube.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm like, I'm trying. I kind of wish I had more of them, but I don't because I didn't save them. But like, what's there? It's like, oh, I can kind of like throw this in there, like the Terraria stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, Terraria is always a good time, and I mean, maybe you didn't think so, but
I didn't think.
I think Terraria is always a good time.
I didn't think so.
But no, oh, what was I gonna say?
What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, so like, and then we didn't really get a chance to play Valheim together this past week. I only just started to build our base.
I know. I almost sent you a text on Thursday because I was yesterday. Whatever day I had like that really short string, so I almost debated not streaming and just texting me like, hey, do you want to just do Valheim? In that allotted window I sort of had.
Well, I mean,
but I wasn't really like, I wasn't too sure. And I don't know. I wasn't sure.
I do remember I was busy, but
it's one of those things where too, it's like, I don't know how much we can actually accomplish in 2 hours.
Especially with where we're at in terms of we just fought Eikthyr in our last playthrough. Like, we didn't even get a chance to like organize our inventories and stuff. So what I've been doing is, in order to speed up the building of our base, is I'm taking a character from my playthrough with my friends that I started playing Valheim with, and the one that's like basically maxed out, and I'm digging a trench because that character has good food. That character has has this the queen, which is the final current boss in Valheim.
Mm-hmm.
The queen's power is it speeds up your mining,
which we kind of need at this point.
It's not so much so I can go mine copper for us, because I think that'd be taking away from, especially from your experience of the game. It's more so I can dig out a quick trench, because it would take you forever with a antler pickaxe. It's a lot quicker with a black metal pickaxe and the queen's ability and everything. So once I get that trench dug out, then I can build a base around it, and then I can get some stuff set up and have it be a nice thing, and then you and I can really like push forward. I mean, that'll probably be some stuff we do this weekend. No, so you definitely, it seems like on over at Spects Gaming TV, you're doing more. Getting more done. It's and the YouTube's feeding the Twitch, and the Twitch is feeding the YouTube. Kind of
say that. I think they're kind of just two parallel trains at this point.
I'd say they're feeding each other in the sense that
they're both getting attention, I guess.
Well, and I think your comfort level goes up because you're doing both, in terms of like because it's becoming a regular part of your days.
I guess so.
It just the more comfortable you are, the better your streams are. Trust me, I watch you, so
we'll see how long it lasts. It's a matter of just like, I'm still trying to find it, like an actual like.
We'll see the next time you piss someone
balancey act. The next time I piss somebody off.
I mean, look, you and I are the types of people that we just kind of piss people off sometimes. No,
my biggest thing is just like, if I don't have like I mean, you see it. I've talked about it. Like, you see it, like, if you looked at like my graph on Twitch Tracker, you can tell when like the busy times were for me at work, because my streams would just be non-existent. It would just be like,
Yep.
oh, we're doing well, and then just nothing, and then oh, there's something and nothing.
What we just got to do is we just got to get so many followers and viewers on Twitch that you don't even have to worry about having a full-time job. You just do Twitch full-time.
Good luck, because I would have to have. I think I did the math once on that, and for everything, I would need like half, right? With like half, if it was like 250, I would need like, in terms of resubs, like 1,000 or like a couple thousand. No, now
Couple
like,
thousand resubs.
yeah, like probably 14 or 15,000, like 15K.
Makes me wonder how much DGR makes just from subs, which is his main source of income. He does not, from his merch, he does not take the money, he donates it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, at least that's what he said. He used to say that. I don't know if he still does. It's been a while since I paid attention to that kind of thing, but it would be difficult to see him going away from that. Like he got sponsored for a little while by the Reebok. It was either Reebok or Nike, and he did a few streams with them, and then he said he was just taking that money and donating it to charity. And it was just like, wow, there's not a lot of streamers out there that would, take
Critical
what they're
did.
doing. And yeah, no, some of them do. I'm not saying nobody is out there. I'm not saying TGR is unique. I'm saying it's just kind of interesting.
Well, not to burst the bubble, but you don't generally make a lot of money off of merch anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I was saying like even his sponsored stuff is
Like,
he's not using it to make money. Crazy. His ranking, by the way, on Twitch Tracker, 5,802. Could you imagine being up that high?
I knew someone pretty high up there.
He's actually been on the decline a little bit recently.
He's not streaming.
Twitch Tracker.
He's not streaming as much.
I mean, I think he's probably in the realm of like, as long as I'm making money, I'm good.
I think when
Like,
you're
as long
the
as I'm
whole
making the
thing,
money I
see
need.
what's weird is when you hit that level, because he has YouTube and he's making money probably off YouTube. Like he can kind of.
Isn't there a way to view someone's subs? There we are. Subscriptions to DJR Dave are not yet tracked. Oh well. I know he has like on his leaderboard, I think the leader of his like gift subs thing, it has gifted him like 102 subs.
Jesus.
And I know he has at least like 5 to 10 tier 3 subs.
Mm-hmm.
At least there might be more, and I just am not aware of it.
Yeah.
But man, no, I mean, so I have to imagine I have to imagine his numbers in terms of subs and gift subs and stuff is well into the thousands based on his follower number, because his follower numbers, I don't know. And it doesn't matter exactly how much he's making.
It's always interesting.
But it is an interesting thought of like, let's see, 156. He's got 156,000 followers, and let's assume quarter of those are subbed, just based on him being that kind of popular.
Mm-hmm.
So 156 divided by 4, so 39,000 subs. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe let's be conservative and go 15,000 subs. 15,000 resubs.
Mm-hmm.
and let's assume most of those are just tier 1, and just ignore the tier 3 ones. So it's what do we say, 250?
Sure.
He's making potential. I mean, I might be overestimating way too much. He may be closer to like 5,000 subs or something. But in a given month, he may be making about $37,000 a month, and that's if he has about 15,000 subs.
Which you don't even know.
That might be overestimating. Maybe he has closer to like 5,000 subs, which at that point I'd just be guessing. So, but at that point he'd be making $12,000 a month, which is still like making six figures a year. And I think I'd feel comfortable saying he has at least 5,000.
I mean, bigger streamers.
They typically do. That's just what it is. It's just interesting to think of somebody being. It's funny because I watched a live stream of him. He did Rocket League in like 2017, and I was watching, and like you could tell he's like still definitely more at the beginning of his streaming career, and it's just interesting to see these somewhat bigger streamers, and where they started and where they are now.
I mean, what's funny, I guess funny is not the right word, but it's like, so I don't necessarily talk about like guys I followed for a long time, but like one of the first guys like I watched was a guy by the name of Shady Penguin. Like, I watched him when I was in college, which was like a decade ago. And to see like him go from like smaller, like just a YouTuber, like smaller-ish YouTuber, to like now like nutty Twitch streamer. He has his subs up here. Not that many. But
what's their name?
Shady Penguin with 2 N's.
$190,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Now we're doing like a Twitch tracker episode.
No, like
basically.
I no, it's just like I'm more so trying to be like, I remember when this guy was like he's our age, and it's like I remember him like when I was in college, which was like 2011. It was strictly YouTube.
He does have his subs
back in the day.
Okay, so I do feel pretty safe in my assumption that DGR is making at least 6 figures a year from Twitch, because Shady Penguin has 1,640 current subs, and he has a 7th or about a 4th as many followers, and his numbers are even down technically. Shady Penguins, it says he's down from last month by about 2,100, which is an interesting drop.
I think
it might just be that.
I think he and there are a couple of others who I think he was one of the first ones where he has his content like on YouTube, on Twitch, but then has like his own site as well, where like I think shady.gg or something, I want to say, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
So like he has like that like a lot of his content there, which is
question.
Which I think
you
really
might know the
interesting.
answer to this.
Okay.
Do you make the same amount of money from a Prime sub as a tier 1 sub?
Yeah.
Okay, I was curious about that. I've always used my Prime sub on DGR for a long time, because for a long time he was the only one I subbed to. So it was like, oh, I don't have to spend any money. And then you started streaming, so I was like, oh well, I got to sub to Spects. So
Yeah, that's where it's the same. There's not a difference. It's treated as the same. The only one I don't know is like Twitch Turbo. How if there's any sort of like what that split is, that I don't know. That I don't know. If
yeah, that's cool.
But if there is, like, I don't know.
But yeah, based on our calculations that we were talking about, he only has 4 that are not tier 1, 4 that are tier 2 and tier 3. So if we just go with our usual number,
well, like if you're
Shady
looking,
Penguin's making 50,000 a year.
but if you're looking at that too, they might have a different deal. Well, I guess they don't anymore. Never mind. I was gonna say they have a different deal, but they don't anymore. They don't have that, like,
Nice.
they don't have a.
Could you imagine making enough to like at least get by from Twitch?
I'd love it if it were to happen, but I don't. I've sort of seen on the outset what it takes, and like I don't think I have it in me, to be honest.
If in my streaming career I ever make it to 1,000 followers, I will feel like that will be my like, all right, that's it. That's all I can do.
Well, like I've had friends like who's hit affiliate like within like 60 days of it of starting. I've had friends hit like thousands of followers in months of starting, or like like before a year or something. Like, I don't know. I guess I think there are ways you can cheat the system a little bit, but ultimately it's like, is the content good, and are you doing like stuff like with it? Because you're in a weird part, because like I don't know, like there's gonna be a weird point, because now you're entering like people who like all they want to do is content, instead of it being like, oh, I want to do something else, and that just happens to coincide with content. Like, it's like me, it's like, oh, I've edited, I've done videos, I've done graphics, I've done all the other stuff that just sort of like coincides with content. No, there are people who just want to do content, and they're all younger than us. We're the old farts on the circuit. How long can you realistically be popular enough to make content? I guess realistically it's endless, argumentatively, because like if you were to get good, you switch into like management or representation or something, technology, in industry stuff, and you just sort of like transition out to help those behind you, I guess. But it's a weird thought, I suppose. Like, we're old on the streaming circuit, you know that, right?
No, I do. I get that. Although, I mean, like some of the more popular ones tend to be
our age and
older, slightly, yeah. Because we know a little bit more about, like, we've been around the block with the internet a bit, so we can
I guess
we can understand the shortfalls.
I guess the luxury of like our age bracket is like we were around when YouTube just started, when it was sort of like a wild west of just like junk, and it wasn't what it is now.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were like the ones who helped build, not you and me in particular, but like our age group was the one who helped like build YouTube and Twitch into what it is.
Well, what's funny is we both know one of the first YouTube partners ever.
We do.
I do, or I did. I'm not friends. We're not friends.
What was their name?
Oh, what was his name? Is it like Marco? It was Marco, I believe. He and his cousin did something on YouTube back in the day. I don't remember what their channel was called.
Oh, I do vaguely remember that, but
yeah, it was like years ago. But they were like one of the first. Like, this is like when it was like Smosh-esque like sketch comedy was like the top of the list.
Smosh was great,
but it's like it was like when that stuff was like where it was like the short, like the 3 to 4 minute like 3 to 4 minute like, you know, sketch thing.
Oh yeah,
like back then. Where now it's more like, I don't even know what it is nowadays. It's a lot of like everything.
Sure. No, it's funny. I feel I keep feeling the need to rein myself in on Twitch. Not in the sense like change how I'm approaching things, rein myself in. I'm saying like don't get ahead of myself. Only because I had the thought recently like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm averaging close to 6 viewers in a 30-day window. Where I'm starting to say I could see myself with, you know, in a year or two's time, 1,000 followers.
Blow me out of the water.
I mean, it would be crazy. But then I have to think about it. And I'm like, well, but don't be disappointed if you don't. Is my thing. Like I have to remind myself, like, don't be looking for it. If it comes to you, then fine.
Yeah, you
want to know if it doesn't come, then like obviously I'm gonna be fine. I have a full-time job outside of this, and it pays me well enough that between me and Abby we're able to, you know, do well enough. But like
to where you can probably get a 3-bedroom apartment.
It'd be fun. Oh, that's what your hope is, so that you don't have to hear my daughters.
No, it's just
every night.
Okay. Hold before you like go. Like you just say it because you want, so it's like quieter. Yeah, one, it's quieter, but two, having like, I'm a firm believer in this, and I would do it if I could, but like I'm a firm believer in like space, like having like a dedicated space for things, and I think work is one of them. Like I work in my bedroom. I write here, I edit here, I do everything here. My bed's right here. It's like I can hit it, you know? Like I think there needs to be dedicated spaces for things. That's my whole thing. It'll be like
even if I did get a 3-bedroom though, you know, what happens if Abby and I have another kid?
Like, well, I told you just buy a house and say screw it and just go for it. Then you don't have to worry about it again.
It would if I could, but that housing market is
not
like, pretty.
No, I know. But it's like okay, that was my thought, or it's just like having a space and like
no, I get it. I don't disagree. It'd be nice, but
I'm sure your kids would just open and close, bang the door open and close.
Yeah, I was gonna say, knowing Eve, she'd probably just be like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm streaming. Why are you streaming?
No, I know. The curiosity of children.
No, it's great. It's great.
I learned that real quick. I learned that real quick when I was staying with Jake and Jamie for a few days, both times.
No, yeah. No, having kids is great. It's definitely the best thing I've ever done.
They're great when you can return them. I mean that in the nicest way possible.
I don't disagree, but raising kids, I mean, trust me, I get what you're saying. There are definitely a lot of moments of just being so stressed out about everything in life, whether it's, your kids annoying you or whether it's how am I going to provide for them, like from, tons and tons of things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, it's the moments when, like, my daughter, I wrote on a little pad once, a couple weeks ago, I wrote, I love Evie.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at it and she said, that says I love Evie. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, she's growing. Like, we're helping her, like, develop into, like, a, little
I had
grown
this
human.
when, yeah, back in January, I had this talk with Jake coming back from somewhere. And I made the thought, and it was like, he sort of laughed when I said, I go, it's funny with kids where it's like, I remember when I was in college perusing Reddit for hours because I have nothing better to do. And like ask Reddit all the time where it's like it's always like, people with asking like the most random stuff. But every once in a while there's like, talking about like parents and stuff. And one of them was like, it's like all of them. It always starts like, I never saw myself having kids and they have one. And there was one that made me laugh, or I realized early this year, was like, somebody made the comment where it was like, I could have the worst day ever at work. I come home and my kid doesn't know that like I got yelled at or work sucked or anything. All they know is like, oh, dad's home. That's all they know. And I'm like, and when I first, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then like when I went up to visit Jake, like not like the first time versus the second time where it's like, oh, like to like, to them, to like, Jake's kids, it's like they don't know like what I'm doing, like what, anything else. All they know is like, oh, he's here now.
Yeah, that's really the most important thing with kids is be there. Like, yeah, not to go too far into that, but like my Abby and I listened to a podcast recently called "The Hot Dog Is a Sandwich." It's from
That Rhett and Link.
It's Rhett and Link, and then they have the thing called the Mythical Kitchen, and so they're
Oh,
the people for the Mythical Kitchen.
I forget. Like that's now a separate thing.
They have their own podcast.
Those kids have made a goddamn empire.
They have. They really. I mean, like, could you imagine? You start this little, you start a couple like semi-popular YouTube channels, and now all of a sudden you own Smosh. You own.
That's the wild thing. Is like if you ever, like, I remember when I did listen to like Ear Biscuits, I think I've heard their backstories like a couple times, and every time it just blows my mind that it's like they went from the most boring jobs of like architecture to that, and it's just engineering, and it's like, God, you went from probably the most boring job on the planet.
No. What's funny is like I think Link said he told his mom or dad, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop, like, I'm gonna drop out of like my engineering job and I'm gonna just do YouTube full time." And his dad was like, "I paid for you to get an engineering degree, and you're not gonna be an engineer?" And he said, "Well, yeah, but I'm gonna be making, this much money." I don't remember if he gave a specified amount. I think he didn't. I think he just said, "I'm gonna be making blah 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 amount of money,
more than what it is."
And his dad was like, "You go out and get that money."
Isn't that how it always works?
Here's the thing with Rhett, like most YouTube creators, like DGR for example, will tell you, and I've heard them say it before. You never know when the YouTube thing is, or the YouTube or Twitch thing is gonna dry up. Like you're just not gonna be able to make money off it anymore. Whether it's like Twitch stops allowing you to have like the opportunity, or people stop watching, whatever it is. It's a fickle thing, the internet. But Rhett and Link themselves have made enough money that if YouTube was to suddenly drop off tomorrow, and they had no way of reestablishing themselves anywhere else, and just had to rely on the money they have,
they're fine.
I'm pretty sure they own the houses they live in, which are huge houses. I'm pretty sure they own other properties.
Yeah,
like they'd just be like, all right, yeah, we'll rent this out, rent that out, rent this out, rent that, and then
Well,
they just
Rhett,
be like,
I
yeah,
mean,
we're still multimillionaires.
I know
Like,
Rhett has does music now on the side. I'm sure Link has his own side projects.
yeah, I mean, like if YouTube was really to drop
All
out
of
like
them.
that, they would still be able to reestablish themselves in other
Yeah, like, and if like I said, if they really wanted to, like, I mean, they're gonna retire at some point, not anytime soon, because what, you know.
Yeah. No, what I think is wild is there's this YouTube. This is kind of turned into a weird discussion, but there's this YouTube channel I follow called Linus Tech Tips.
Oh yeah, he stepped away recently, right? Linus
Well,
did.
he announced on his YouTube that he is stepping down as CEO of Linus Media Group, and he's gonna have this guy who used to be the head of this company he used to work for in which was basically like a Best Buy in Canada. It was NCIX that went defunct, but then he went and worked for like other companies. Well, I guess now he's gonna be his CEO, so Linus can be more focused on like content creation and being like a video host rather than
just not doing the boring, not the back
not
end
dealing
stuff.
with the business side of things. Because like if you look at him as another example, like he's not, I don't know what's his YouTube following, but he's not.
Pretty big.
They're not like, it's big, but it's not like, you know, it's not Good Mythical Morning status.
I think very few are in that realm.
No, that's what I'm saying is he has 15.5 million subscribers, which is awesome. Like I could never even dream.
Just don't
of
compare that to like
big.
Mr. Beast or like PewDiePie or something.
No. That's what I was trying to avoid. But it's like, you know, he's not, you know, in this like huge upper echelon, but he's in a good stratosphere. But like the people that do follow him have given him their money, and so he's making so much money that he's like, but like what he does that's great that I love is he's reinvested heavy amounts where a lot of YouTubers just kind of go, yeah, I bought a car. He's like, I'm creating stuff so that way.
I think now one of
the things that people rely on him for is like benchmarking computers.
Yeah, like
they're creating their own benchmark.
Yeah,
they're doing stuff like that where it's like they don't have to, but they are.
No, but I think I mean a lot of them now are kind of like doing the whole thing of like sort of reinvesting in themselves. Like one guy, another former PokeTuber I kind of watch on and off, A Drive. He started his own card game and stuff, like from scratch and all that.
Yeah.
But so back to like the whole Twitch thing. You know, I know you're talking about like getting ahead of yourself. You know what's funny? I used to get I generally don't care anymore. But I used to get, it used to annoy me. It still kind of does to this point, where I would get all this support from people like in private, but the minute like publicly it was like nothing. And it used to drive me nuts. Like insane levels of annoyance.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I don't give a flying F anymore. Like, oh, whatever. I'm here.
No, it is interesting. Like in that realm, like it's funny to like I'll see these other streamers, even like streamers of my size, and like again, I'm not complaining. I'm not like if I never make another dime off Twitch, I'd be fine. I mean, technically, I still haven't made a dime off of Twitch, but like, if I never actually made a dime off Twitch, I'd be fine because my whole purpose is like, I think it's just for me, it's just fun.
Yeah.
But you know, there's people my size that have gotten like multiple subs, like and people that resub, and it's like I'm sitting here like at about the same follow count, but people are just coming to hang out, and it's fine. That's what I like. I like the idea of hanging out and talking with people and trying to beat their levels, and
yeah,
you know, it's just a fun time for me. So, but it's like, but there is part of me that does like sit there and go, how do I break into like? I'm not like I absolutely refuse to be like, hey guys, make sure if you like what you're watching, maybe drop me a sub. Like, no, I'm not.
I don't even
I'm
do
not
that. Like.
Guy.
Like I said, like my big thing is like the only thing I'll do is I just put like, hey, hit that follow button so you don't like you don't forget.
Sure.
That's really it.
I do need to work
I
on
don't
my
do
Nightbot commands, my Nightbot like auto commands.
like that's me. I'm not. I like that's really it. I'm not
Sure.
outside of that.
I finally had a YouTube video almost reach the my initial YouTube video. My first one, though, the one that I just uploaded randomly that one time.
Oh yeah.
Because my first video had, I think, has 59 views, and my first video this week, the second one isn't doing super hot, but the first one has 55 views. So it's like nipping at the heels of the other one.
Look at you.
But it's it's fun to put content together. I've been trying to have more fun doing it, sort of thing. So, but the one thing I've been dragging my feet on that I think would actually like do something to promote my content and my image, I guess, is I need to put together my Discord. And I have like a Discord channel that I've created. I just haven't actually gone through and said, all right, these are the rules. Here's some channels. Here's some bots. Specs is my mod.
This is why I'm glad I just had someone do it for me.
So, no, I just need to figure some stuff out to get that ready. So that way I could just be like, on Mondays, Mario Maker stream, I could be like, hey guys, Discord down below, Discord link is down there.
It would make your life a lot easier for
VR levels.
Yeah. You just have it dump in there.
It really would. I did get one submitted, and I'm gonna play it this weekend and get ready for a video sometime next week. But trying to get back into YouTube content because it's been a funny like ride with this podcast. Where it's like at first when we started doing the podcast, I was like kind of doing regular content. Then I stopped for a while, and then Hogwarts Legacy came out, and I was like doing it really good. And then but then Twitch kind of took over for my, in terms of my wants and desires of being a content creator.
Yeah.
Twitch is just easier in a lot of ways because all I have to do is be like, start streaming. And then I stream for a few hours, and then I'm like, all right, don't have to think about that again.
Done.
Whereas recording is like you record something, which is like the stream, but then it's like taking the stream, pulling it, and going, all right, I need this part, and this part, and this part. Okay, 10-minute video. Like, but that's where that's at. So,
aren't you
anywho,
busy bee?
Well, now that we've talked to plenty of video games and Twitch and stuff like that, let's talk. What should we do? Baseball first and then basketball, or basketball and then baseball?
Either or.
Here, first things first. An update to my Twitter thing last week. I don't know if you remember me saying like I was getting too much attention on Twitter, more attention than I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
For what I basically was like a not like a joke, but it was more like a just quick little sharing of my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you fans coming out of the woodworks. But and some of which were like nice, but there was some of which were like, oh, blah blah blah, you're stupid. I was like, okay,
blah, like, blah, blah, you're stupid. Is that
that's
how
that's how I read them.
Oh, okay.
But no, the update is Isaac Wilson did commit to Utah. Which in my original tweet, if you read, I said, I'll root for you wherever you play, even the U. Hey, guess what? He's playing for the U. No, which is not that big of a surprise because his dad played for the U. So And I'm guessing the only reason Zach Wilson didn't play for the U is they didn't offer him.
I guess.
That's
Isn't the
well,
offense
that's
different though? It was like BYU's had like more of an air raid offense.
Yeah, no, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't know nothing really. I'm not a professional, so but I wouldn't be surprised unless Isaac Wilson gets a start in that first year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go off to
He'll probably
some
go
other
to the portal.
college. Not to, I wouldn't suggest BYU. I'd say, maybe he redshirts for the first year and then realizes he's not going to start for another year. And then
who's ahead of him? But who's ahead of him at Utah?
There's some guys that they've got going right now that are looking
because
good in practice. Whittingham just doesn't tend to start freshmen very often unless he like sees them and is like, wow, this kid's good, sort of thing.
Because the whole thing is, and I keep coming back to it, is if he did pick Utah, sort of stupid when you don't know what the hell where they're gonna be in the next couple years. If he's going in this year, like.
Okay, so Cam Rising is obviously this year's, but right now they have a fourth stringer who everybody believes is like if you ask any fan, they believe he's the future. His name's Nate Johnson.
Does it really matter when USC and UCLA are leaving?
I mean, that's like part of their.
As much as people are starting to be like, oh, Washington's gonna come out of nowhere and run it. Like, okay, dude.
No. No, yeah, because Nate Johnson was a 3-star prospect, but they like really believe in him. This is supposedly the thing. No. What was I gonna say? Oh, speaking of which, I was hearing on the radio. There's reports that Colorado thinking of making the switch to the Big 12.
I've heard that.
Which makes sense because there's a lot more regional rivalries there.
Well, it's not even that. It's like I said, the
Colorado never became a real rivalry.
The whole thing is like I've been saying, it's like the Pac-12's imploding on itself. Get out while you still get out before that ship sinks, because you don't want to be on it when it sinks. And that's why I'm sort of like, why have we heard nothing about Utah? Like, is Utah content with being like, oh, we can rule the roost even though there's nobody here?
So Barry Trammell, who writes for a newspaper, he's a beat writer for the Oklahoman, says Colorado joined the Big Seven Conference in 1948 and stayed through its various iterations for 62 years. Could the Buffaloes be coming back? A Big 12 source told me last week that Colorado is ready to commit to joining the Big 12, quote, soon. I thought it was interesting, but not necessarily a revelation. Yeah, he goes on to say, like, it makes sense. But what is interesting, is he also went on to suggest, look, if Colorado leaves, it's not that long before Arizona State leaves, and then at that point, is Utah going to want to play with what's remaining of the Pac-12? Which, at that point, like, do you start? You're going to start seeing Oregon and Washington maybe thinking of finding their way to another conference, and then does Utah want to play with Boise State and SMU and
that's what I'm saying.
San Diego State.
That's sort of what I'm laughing at. It's like, what?
It would be literally a Mountain West with some slightly stronger schools.
Well, that's what I'm laughing at. Where I'm like, get out.
Of Utah, you'd have Oregon and Washington.
Well, it's like, what are you gonna? It's one of those bits where, like I said, it's like, cool. Like, you better win again this year, because if you win, you don't win the Pac-12 this year, and you win next year, no one's gonna care.
Well, and then. So what's funny is for months the Pac-12 has been saying, "Oh well, look, the presidents keep going. Oh well, we've been assured that like the talks are right there.
They're lying.
Like it's almost ready.
They're lying. The
No,
only thing
but that's what it's saying. Well,
I
and
hope you
so
get.
he says,
I hope you're ready for the Ion Game of the Week. At this point, that's what's gonna be in a
sure.
terrible time slot. Most people just watch one game into the other.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, we had to take a quick pause. But we were talking about the Pac-12. And
Yeah.
so
We can wrap it up with
he does go on in the Pac-12 to say, talking about the Pac-12, to say like there's no talks with any TV stations. So the money, like what money are they planning on making?
none. They're dead. They're gonna fall, and the ACC is gonna fall, and we're gonna be left with just the SEC,
a Super Big 12, a Super Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10.
Probably. I think what you'll end up getting
eventually the Big 12 will fall.
I think what you'll see is you'll probably have like a west to central like regions where it's like west, north, south, east is what I think you're gonna get.
Sure.
In some fashion, whether it's or to a varying degree, is what you're gonna get. But it's like if you're in the Pac-12, get out now. You don't want to be on that ship when it sinks. The same goes for the SEC. Same goes for the ACC.
Colorado sure seems ready. So
yeah, they're ready.
And then I think it'll be Colorado, and then the Arizona schools, and then
Utah just wants to reign supreme as long as they can.
Yeah, well,
Anywho.
but I mean they could take their skills to the Big 12 and do fine.
We'll see. Anywho, Lakers got swept, and LeBron threatened retirement. So that happened all in one day.
Do you think he threatened retirement just as a bargaining chip?
I think he felt tired.
Within the week, he said, "I'm going to get surgery," and all indications from Shams, which I don't trust any source more than I trust Shams in terms of the NBA. Woj is close, but Shams, nobody seems to quite know as much as Shams does. But
I think he felt tired for the first time in his career. Is what I think happened. Like I watched a couple games with Tim, and even Tim's like, this series shows that he's actually 38 years old. Because there were times where it was like you're watching the games, it's almost looked like he quit, and it's like looking back on, it's like, no, I think he was just gassed. I think he finally realized, like, I can't do this all on my own anymore. Like AD can't really do it all on his own. Like I don't necessarily think they need like a third star to win another title. I think they need someone to hand off the baton to, because I think LeBron knows it's like, as much as he wants to try to play with Bronny, like that's it. Like I think he sort of realized this year, it's like, oh, we're nearing the end of this thing.
Yeah.
And we need to like get. I don't think he wants to leave. I think he also learned that like he doesn't want to be seen as the villain, and he doesn't necessarily want to leave the Lakers with nothing. So I think he's sort of aware of like, we kind of need a contingency plan to get someone in here to like hand this thing off to in the way of young stars, or at least someone who can be can kind of make his own shots, because like LeBron can't anymore. And I think D'Lo did to a certain degree. It's just D'Lo, for whatever reason, just went ice cold at the wrong time. So I guess that's where like the whole thing of like, oh, they've been connected to Trae Young, and it seemed like it was out of left field. And it's like, okay, Trae Young's a coming, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Trae Young is an idea, but I don't know.
Seems like a lot.
No, I don't know. This year just it was weird when that ended. It felt like it was kind of like a weird, like if the Lakers could have won that series, which like every game was close. Um
I guess that's sort of something to hang your hat on. Is that it was close, and it was just like a handful of like miscues and misplays. And also, too, Denver's going to win the title. So, I mean, you kind of...
But it felt like they were kind of like falling into even getting into the Western Conference Finals. Like, would that happen again if the playoffs were to restart? Maybe.
I guess, too, sort of, if you want to look at it, like I said, the virtue of hindsight, is like Ja was screwed up in more ways than one. The Warriors are just falling apart at the seams. So really, like the first team, like the first real team they're playing, just happened to be the team that's probably going to win the title.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like when we went into the Denver series, when we did our podcast with CJ, I said I think it's Nuggets. I said I think Nuggets in 6.
I think you said 6, and I said Lakers in 6. The only reason I said Lakers in 6, I had at that point, I had no reason to second guess the Lakers' ability to play in hostile environments, and I wasn't inherently wrong.
Sure,
per se. I still think they could handle a Jamal Murray who just apparently when he gets hot is like the second coming.
I do think if you put the Lakers team, this roster back on the floor next year, if you're able to re-sign everybody and just you ran it back, you'd probably get the Lakers as like a 4 or 5 seed.
I think they'd be higher. I think they'd be a 3 or 2. I think
maybe that's true.
I think
I don't know how this team would perform over a full season.
I think one thing that gets I think one thing gets overplayed, that gets overhyped, and I've said this countless times. I think the Clippers get overhyped to all hell. I think the Suns get overhyped to all hell, and I think the Lakers lately have been downplayed to all hell. And I don't know why that is. I think it's like a Kawhi effect, because everyone just sort of thinks like Kawhi is like can do it all, and it's like, how far did the Clippers go? Oh, they got bumped in the first round, and they were what, 5? They were the 5 seed,
and they lost a team that couldn't quite manage much against the.
So
the same team the Lakers couldn't manage a whole lot against.
But it was a lot closer. I mean,
in a lot of ways, yeah.
Like,
although the Suns did pull out a couple games.
So I mean, but it's one of those bits where it's like, when you're looking at the things as a whole, it's like Memphis is going to be different. Truth be told, it wouldn't really surprise me if Memphis soft rebuilds soon, because they, you don't know what the hell you're going to get with Ja. You don't they already said Dylan Brooks is out, so they're going to be in a spot. Phoenix with that situation with KD and CP3 and all them, how long is that going to go? And then Denver's probably the only one thing. It's like, well, they're going to be there again. Clippers, who the hell knows, because I don't know what the hell's gone off Kawhi, as much as everyone says, well, Kawhi's not healthy. I think we've heard that for how many years? I don't think years at this point.
Well, the question for me isn't his ability. My question is, will he ever be healthy?
No.
Will he ever be able to go for a full season? My honest opinion of Kawhi, I've watched videos about his whole injury history, and I'm not gonna say I do question his motivation.
I think it's the thing with Kawhi
I think he's won a championship.
Yeah, I think
I
he's.
think I think he's I think he's gotten all the accolades. He knows he's got a Hall of Fame induction in his future. I honestly think for Kawhi, it's just a matter of he doesn't need it anymore. He
Yeah,
you know if he could put it together, but anytime. But I think with Kawhi, like with LeBron, you had LeBron who everything for him is his basketball legacy.
yeah. I wrote about that earlier this week.
He is starting to get a little bit more of the wanting to you know watch and promote his son and everything, and have his family be more of a focal point. But like I think he's still a few years from retirement, but and I think while he's still in the league, his focus will be on nothing but winning. And like you saw him play, like we have the reports now, he was playing on an injured Achilles.
I mean, you saw like something was like I said, it looked like
Something was off. We
well,
all knew,
well
but
the whole like
now
I
we
said,
know.
the funny thing was is it looked like he was just flat out giving up, but it's like, and I hate that's like my first thought is like, oh, he stopped caring, and it's like he didn't care. It showed like he didn't care, but if he's playing her, it's like you're better off saying like, hey, I'm not 1,000%. Like I said, he looked old. It was the first time he's looked old.
Yeah.
And you know how star athletes are when they start getting old. A lot of them don't have the wherewithal to say, okay, I guess we gotta refocus. You know, not every like, especially like the guys who play at the height of their game. It took Kobe. I mean, I remember when all of a sudden Kobe's not driving anymore. He's just becoming a spot up shooter because that's what he had. Like that's all he can do.
Yeah, no, and I think the same for me with Kawhi. Yeah, like that's what we saw with LeBron, and I think LeBron just still has that drive to win. I think with Kawhi, I think honestly, after he won that championship with the Toronto,
Yeah,
I think he just kind of felt like his legacy was set and established. You know, like I said, he's got a Hall of Fame career resume already lined up. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. He's been a great basketball player in his career. I think for him now, anytime he gets any injury of any severity, and I mean, we saw this already with the Spurs, but like, I think honestly now, even more so, any injury, any severity, he's just playing it
incredibly close to the chest.
Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, close to the chest, but like very safe. Like every decision he makes is, I will not play injured. I will not play in any way that's going to harm my body long term. Because I think for him, he's like, I've got a Hall of Fame career. Why would I harm my body in a way that could make me, hurt for the rest of my life?
Well, I think he's sort of seen that with other players.
Yeah,
in that era,
I think
where
he'd rather be comfortable, which is fair.
It's fair.
It's fair, but like, if you're the Clippers, you're saying, are we gonna like? You keep saying like we're gonna win a championship because we do have these two Hall of Fame guys, but it's like
cool. What else do you got?
Counting. Well, but it's like the years keep counting,
and you have no resource.
Getting worse. Like the Clippers GM just went off to Washington.
Yeah, and
if that doesn't give you a like first sign that the ship is sinking for the Clippers?
The funny part, see, the thing is, and this is something like I've always laughed at, and I still do, is anytime we talk about like anytime the national media brings up like the Lakers and Clippers, the first thing you always hear is, well, the Lakers, traded all the chips for Anthony Davis. What do they have to show for it? And I'm like, the Clippers traded way more than the Lakers did in terms of resources for Paul George. And everyone forgets that. And it's like, do you not realize that the worst case scenario for the Lakers was this year and it didn't come to fruition? The worst case for the Clippers still hasn't occurred, and it's probably gonna happen. Because the Clippers own the right, the Clippers don't own the rights to their picks, I think, until the end of the decade. Or something wild, right?
Wild. And here's the thing. I say, like, if I'm as a Lakers fan, like, yeah, if you could get Trae Young, I don't know that I love that idea, but if you could get just a solid, like a Buddy Hield type player. I'm not saying get Buddy Hield, but I'm just saying get like a Buddy Hield type player where you can have
So
somebody who can like spot up and shoot and space the floor. Like Austin Reeves did that, but like if you could get another guy that helps you do that.
so the entire haul of picks for the Thunder, unprotected picks in 22, 24, 26. This year's was a protected pick, and a protected and pick swaps this year and in 25. So they don't have control of their own pick again until 2027. The Clippers do.
So no, yeah, then that was when that trade was made. I was like, that's a mistake.
Yeah, it was a terrible mistake.
There was two things when that trade was made that I said. First off, that's a mistake. Second off, why isn't Kawhi and the Clippers getting charged with tampering?
Well, I made the comment when they traded for him with someone, like right after. I said, "Damn, I made it. I'm like, the Clippers are going to play small for years now, and I don't know if that's the right move."
No, yeah, I mean, the Clippers still have a decent team that's going to make the playoffs, and a team that, like, if you did have a healthy Kawhi in the playoffs and a healthy Paul George, and you did get them like just at the right time, you might be able to make a run at the conference finals. But I just don't see that team built to win a finals.
Nah, I don't think they are.
The Lakers this year, you saw them as a potential, like, once they got past the Warriors, it was like, well, like once they were looking like they were going to get past the Warriors, everybody was like, well, maybe they could win the finals, because they had like some of those pieces, those defensive pieces in particular.
They had the
that's
momentum.
What the Clippers are really missing is they don't have a defense.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying if the Lakers could pick up a spot shooter this year, it would be a difference maker, because that's I think the big thing they're missing, because Jamal Murray goes on a freaking
tear.
Like, I kept saying to myself, it's gonna end.
No, that's what I said. I go, it's got to end, right? It can't keep going. It just never ended.
He's never been this hot in his career. And then all of a sudden, but he just kept it going.
He kept going.
And so it was wild. But yeah, so if the Lakers had somebody who they could just slide in and say, hey, go out and go, 1-for-1 with him, like, he shoots a 3, you shoot, like, kind of go back and forth, and you could at least stave off some of the stuff. And I think, honestly, one of the things that I think Darvin Ham will learn this year, that we'll have learned from the playoffs by watching the tape, is tell your guys to stop shooting all the bad outside mid-range jump shots. Tell them just to pound the ball inside in those kinds of situations.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the big issues, was they would start shooting threes when Jamal Murray got hot. Whereas if they made 10 points, during that stretch of him hitting 24 points, then you're still up by 6 or something. Well, maybe not 6, but you're still up by like an okay enough amount that you could win the game. The problem that we ran into is just like started shooting and shooting and shooting.
Yeah.
And we weren't matching them because we don't have the skills to match what they were doing. LeBron was going over 4 or over 6. It was like,
yeah.
Anyways, so we'll see what the Lakers offseason's like, what LeBron's recovery is like, who they could get. Are they going to go after Kyrie? Are they going to go after Trae Young? Are they going to
be an interesting summer? Some
people that can shoot threes. It could be fun to watch. But I guess the last thing is it was a decent enough week from the Angels, but then they lost tonight.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those games. I sort of laughed.
Are you seeing anything you like from this recent like run of like them playing decently?
There's bright spots. I mean,
think. Mickey Moniak, that has been crazy to watch.
I think what's interesting, and I'm just gonna ask you this question before I give you the answer. Which team is better, this year's team or last year's team?
I mean, I think the record last year right now was better, right? I think they've won more games this year, but they've they hadn't lost quite so many at this point last
You
year.
ready for the answer? Okay, so through 51 games in 2022, the Angels were 27-24. The Angels' record through 51 games this year, 28-23.
So about the same. I thought I said I was, at least I went on the safe route and said I thought last year's team was doing slightly better because they were starting their skid.
So I guess they're muddling, but I think the bigger difference is you're seeing like Texas sort of doing things that I didn't expect, but I don't know if that's part of it's not sustainable. I don't think, but it's like they're in a weird spot where the whole AL East is good, and like when you're nitpicking like Texas, and it's like, well, the Angels technically play better against the 500 teams compared to Texas in terms of games played. You're in a funky spot. Really, but it's just it's a matter of what's sustainable and what's not. If I had to go out on a limb, I say the Angels will probably be consistent. Basically, I think they're going to be reasonably consistent. I don't necessarily see this team having the bottom fall out like it did last year.
Well, that was our point going into the year, was this team is definitely a lot deeper in terms of
it's
the bench.
Deeper like, when you've
got Urshela, you've got guys who can hit, and they're not just having games where they're just winning, because like a lot of what happened last year leading up to that 14-game losing streak was
so many guys,
a lot of 11-2, 11, or 11-6, 11-5, 12-7, huge scoring games, and then they have like a drought. But now you're having Angels wins of like 3-1, 7-3, 5-1, like not games where you're having to have like
big
4 home runs to get your, done. You're not having a Taylor Ward hitting an OPS that would make him like top of the league.
Yeah, I wrote about it yesterday on my first like main article on a main site, was how like pulling up Zach Neto, because with Neto, when I wrote it, they are 21-16 with Neto up, which may not really sound like a lot, but I think solidifying at least the shortstop position with someone who is like sure-handed defensively helps a lot. And that was like the main point of what I was writing, was I'm like, I think getting him up there to solidify that spot helps a lot, because now if you look at like what happened after that infield spot, after he was like, okay, he's playing short, he's penciled in there as often as he can, it moved Drury back to where he was really going to play second. It gave the better glove the corner infield spot in Urshela, and then Rendon was at third, which I think really shifted the defense a little bit. I don't think the defense is stellar. It was any better stellar like percentage wise, but it felt a little more sure-handed. And I think, again, we all jokingly said, like, of course Rendon's going to go down, but now you have Urshela there, and Urshela can handle a bat. He can play third.
Yeah.
No,
it's fine. Not, you're not plugging in
Taylor Wade.
Tyler Wade,
yeah. Tyler Wade over there.
And Squid.
Yeah, you're not playing, like, they're kind of like both. I think Wade's not even up with the Angels or the A's, I don't think. And then Squid's in AAA. So, I mean, like, those guys were your starters last year, and they're both in AAA.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's what's wild, or what's great for the Angels. Not wild, I guess. But that's what's great for the Angels this year is it hasn't paid like huge dividends or whatever, but
You can see it because
it's made them a more like sure team where you're not sitting here going, oh, they're not even going to reach 500 this year. You're thinking, yeah, this is probably at least a 500 team.
Because now because even if you're looking at the minors, you got Joe Adele, Brett Phillips, Trey Cabbage is probably going to get called up at some point. Like, you have 3 outfielders for sure, and Cabbage can play at least first. Jake Lamb's still there. He can come back up if they need him to. In terms of pitchers, they are like Bachman got called up. Today he went in 2 innings, struck out 4. I don't think no runs allowed, it looks like. So good outing for him. I think he touched 100 at least once. 4 total hits in 2 innings with 2 walks to go along with 4 strikeouts. So not the worst thing in the world to kind of get his feet wet. So that, that helps in that regard. So now all of Perry's picks are now in the major leagues.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I think more so than this season. Like, I'm hoping this season goes great and that the Angels can at least make the playoffs. Because if this team at the very least come off season, if they make the playoffs and maybe like have a competitive series in the playoffs, I'm not saying that's what they'll do, but I'm saying if they did, then that might be enough for Shohei to be like,
I wonder.
Hey, look, let's sign a contract.
I wonder if that. I wonder if that's part of them sort of calling these guys up, like Bachman getting called up, is
Shohei like
is to be like, look, Detmers is solid. I think Detmers just run into a bit of bad luck. Detmers is solid. You're seeing what Bachman can do. You know what Nito can do. Chase Silseth is good enough, whether it's out of the pen or the rotation. Those guys are good.
And what's the other pitcher that's been up recently? Like, he's been up for the past couple of years.
What, Wants?
Griffin.
Oh, Canning?
Canning?
Yeah, Canning's going to be
all right.
Like, you got enough guys where it's like, I think they'll be decent enough guys. So it's feels like you're trying to be like, look, this is going to this is already happening. And again, I made this I make this point, and I've said it before. You can't really win a World Series in the early months. You can lose it, but you can also set yourself up to win it. And showing the guys like these guys now, where it's like, hey, get Bachman time now, because if Bachman can do it now, he's get him ready, because you never know what's gonna happen in October. Same thing with Nito. All these guys where it's like, get these at bats going, so that when the game's slower for them in July and August and September. Because like the last thing you want is these guys to get into those months where it's like innings are pressure filled and all that stuff, and they're just like shell shocked.
Yeah, no, and I also think, and I also just like, if Shohei doesn't return, like, yeah, that would be a huge blow. Don't get me wrong, but seeing these guys, especially like Nito and Canning and Detmers, and having some of these guys, these young guys, perform well. Moniak is even showing flashes of what made him a number 1 pick.
Well, it's like I said, stay consistent with it, please.
And that's what I'm saying. If he like he showed before he got injured last year, he was showing those flashes with the Angels. You wonder if maybe literally it was just a change of scenery kind of thing.
Could be.
Maybe there's maybe even though like we don't love the Angels batting coach, maybe
I don't necessarily have a problem with.
He's exactly what Moniak needed.
I don't necessarily have a problem with Marcus Tens. Like, I sort of laugh at the idea. It's like, we're just gonna hit fastballs. It's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. It seems like they're more aggressive, but they're on pace to probably be what we thought they would be. It's one of those bits where I think Tim's put it best in like one of our conversations, was like, look, the Angels always underperform. So it's almost like if we expect them to be where they want to be, we say that's a Dubsky,
Yeah.
Is it?
No, yeah. I think, well, and I think, like I said, seeing these young guys, like I said, if Moniak can continue this, and be something for the Angels for the future, all of a sudden you're saying, hey Ward, we might have to move you somewhere.
I don't think they'll necessarily move Ward. But
well, yeah, but figuring out a spot like where you have an outfield right now that's great between
that's good.
Renfroe, Trout,
hey, it's a good problem to
Moniak,
have.
And then like Joe Adele's playing well in the AAA. I'm not saying I'm not suggesting bring him up, but I'm saying it's great to have options all the way down into AAA. Yeah. These guys who are like just playing lights out.
No, I would agree.
And so, and that's what I'm saying is like for the future, like, yeah, Shohei leaves this year, it'd be a huge blow, devastating.
Yeah.
But would it be the end of the world? No, I think you would still have an Angels team in the next few years that would compete for the playoffs.
I would agree. I think they're in a better spot than they were.
And that's why that's if I'm Perry, that's what I'm selling to Artie is.
I think that's sort of what you're trying to do.
Let me keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because in 5 years, this is a World Series contender.
Well, I think part of it too is like you have like, they were a big deal that they didn't, we can end on this note was like, people are making a big deal like, oh, they didn't sign Trey Turner. And your sell to Artie is like, hey, you see Zach Nate over there? That's why we don't need to sign Trey Turner.
Sure.
Like you see like you see Bachman, you see Detmers, you see I can't remember. Like all everybody else. It's like that's why we don't go after every big ticket guy because we can turn that into cap. We can turn that onto cheap guys for 3 to 4 years.
You sell the idea of these guys that you're really excited about. Well, guess what, Nito? Give him 2 years. He's going to be that guy that you're really excited about.
Yeah, and then he does the Alex Antopoulos thing where he signs him to an 8-year deal, $60 million or something like $100 million deal for 7 years.
If you get in early enough, you can just sign him to this really long extension that wherever
and not have to worry about anything.
Has he earned that? And then it's like, he's earned that.
If they started doing that, if that's the one thing he steals from Antopoulos from Atlanta and signing these young guys to deals, and everyone's like, what are you? When the entire baseball punditcy loses their collective shit because they signed 6-year $80 million deals. So it's like, what? Or 6 years $100 million. Like, why are they doing this? They're throwing it away. And it's like, hey man, you turned out $100 million.
Yeah, no.
When you don't know if you're gonna get hurt.
It's definitely a thing where I believe in the Perry way. If the Angels continue to keep Perry,
I believe
let him cook. I believe we'll have a World Series contender for years to come.
I believe in the Atlanta.
They're not there yet, but they're going to.
I believe in the Atlanta Braves model. Sign your young stars to long-term deals while they're still young.
Yeah,
that's what I believe. All right, so that'll put
We kind of did that with Trout, right? But like,
it was All right, well, we'll put a bow on this one. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, whatever. We'll be back next week for more of this audio. It's going to be out on Monday. Video will probably be up on Tuesday. So from here on out, because I got series going up on Monday, YouTuber. So thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.
Peace.